The White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce and SCC TV are proud to present Your Business Matters, dedicated to your business needs. The White Bear Area Chamber is a nonprofit business organization serving as advocates to the White Bear area and its business community. Now, here's the Executive Director of the White Bear Area Chamber and the host of Your Business Matters, Tom Snell.
Welcome to Your Business Matters, brought to you by the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce. Each month we interview community leaders and business owners so you can be informed about the developments in our community. I'm pleased to welcome Nathan Keech, the owner of Keech Media, an expert in business marketing. Thank you for coming, Nathan, to our event today. I really appreciate it. So, you're a marketing business.
Absolutely, yes.
So can you explain a little bit about your media company, some of the things that you do to help business?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. So one of the things that we started off with back in 1999 was helping businesses brand themselves. And also from that, we also developed websites and also video production, and that's now transformed into a full-service marketing agency.
Yeah. So you've been around for 20 years then.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our 20th year in business, starting in October.
Okay. Yeah. Back when you started, were websites kind of the new dynamic?
They certainly were. And, you know, if you look back at kind of the evolution of websites in this digital media realm that we live in, websites were just kind of coming into were basically in their infancy in 1999. You heard of the dot-com boom and the dot-com bust.
Yep.
But after all kind of the dust settled down and shook out, the websites really are one of the main staples of a marketing mix for businesses these days.
They've been around for a while now, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that a business should understand when they're developing a marketing strategy? If you could go through some of the things right away, somebody thinks, well, I want to learn to market my business better. Yeah. What should they do from some of the starting points?
Yeah, so starting points, what we look at when we help businesses, especially when it comes to, if you're a product or service business, any business out there should be looking at really starting with their branding. And, branding kind of sets the tone for everything else in your business.
And what is branding?
Sure. So the history of branding, if you think about, in the Old West, cowboys and running the cattle and everything,
sure,
they'd have these branding irons and they'd put their, brand in a cattle. And so you think about branding in and of its kind of early stages. It's a significant marker. It's like an icon. It's like a logo of someone's property or someone's identity of what either they own or something that is obviously marketing or advertising as a product or a service.
Now, just a couple things. I'm going to back up in a minute, but you mentioned the word logo.
Yeah.
You can go online and for $25 you can get a logo. And I imagine that a lot of people do that. Do you think that that's a good idea? Or do you think that people should take a little bit more time in developing a logo? And if you think they should take more time, why is that? Why is a logo so important?
Great question, Tom. And I will tell you that from the outset, a logo or a brand is a unique and identifiable identity that is established either with a business, it could be with a personal brand like music stars, it could be, especially a product. You think about Coke and Pepsi, you think about Nike and Reebok. There's a reason why people have invested thousands, if not millions of dollars in their branding because it is so specifically unique to them and very important. Now, when you ask the question about is it a good idea to go online from places like Fiverr or, some of these low, somewhat no-cost almost websites that you can get a logo from? Well, here's the really interesting thing about that. I've looked at a number of logos over, obviously, the 20 years I've been in business, and quite recently I came across two very distinctly different businesses, but they had the exact same logo. And I'm like, where did you get this? Well, of course, they were the victims of this very reason right here. A unique and identifiable brand should have something completely different from anyone else out there. So there was a men's ministry and someone who was doing coaching. Okay, so and I looked at these and I put them up side by side, and sure enough, they were the same thing. Now, why I would discourage this, and if you can think about for copyright reasons and for other reasons, when someone, maybe this company gets really big and says, hey, you're using my logo, guess what can happen to this? All this work that this company over here was doing all along to raise their brand, now they get a cease and desist letter. That is not a wise decision at all, because if you're using this low or no cost alternative over here to create your brand or your logo, well, then you could run into some problems later on.
Absolutely.
So doing it right to begin with is very important.
Now, you mentioned, though, one of the things that you mentioned about logo, you said some companies spend tens of thousands of dollars just producing a logo. If you're some small business person that employs 4 or 5 people and they want to have a logo, they can't afford $10,000 or $15,000 to have a logo. So what might be some of the alternatives that they would have?
Great question. And so you think about the traditional marketing or ad agencies, and you find downtown Minneapolis or in some of these major metropolitan areas.
Like Campbell Methune, for example.
Campbell Methune, Carmichael Lynch. Great agencies. They take really good care of what I consider the higher level brands, the Cadillacs and the Coca-Colas and things like that. But for the small business owner, they usually don't have a large purse string to develop their brand and things like that. So finding a company and finding a company that will work with them on developing, and taking them through a proven process that can help identify, a logo, a color palette, things like their patterns and textures, that kind of thing.
Okay, so you said the word pattern.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you alluded to was the development of a foundation for businesses when they start their marketing effort.
Yeah.
So if you could expand a little bit about what it means to develop a foundation, why that's important for marketing your business, and what are some of the ingredients that go into developing a foundation?
Yeah, absolutely. So foundationally to marketing, you think about companies that are getting inundated with requests for radio or TV or something. That's advertising. But when you think about the foundation, about laying the stonework, almost like the cement floor for things, branding has to be foundational to that, because in order to build all these other things like social media, video, you got to have something to rest it on.
So is that the first thing that you do?
Absolutely.
Is develop this foundation?
It is. And we tell clients all the time that before we even start developing a website or start looking at your social media and anything, if there's any opportunity to refine or redefine your brand, meaning your color palette, your textures, your logo even, or even your tag phrase, that's the time to do it, because I use the analogy, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill. If you're trying to get marketing traction in the marketplace, you're gonna be pushing up a boulder up a hill if you don't define what your brand is and get it consistent. So in everything you do, it's going to look the same.
What do you mean by consistency and looking the same?
Yeah. So you think about, like even examples here of color palettes, of patterns and textures. When you send your business cards off for the printer over here, and then your note cards over here, and then your brochures over here, and then your website over here, some other print stuff over here, and maybe some advertisements. Sometimes that red color looks pink, might look orange, might look whatever. And if there's no codes that go with that, that's indicating to the online digital producer over here what this red looks like, it's going to come out looking maybe orange or pink. And so some of the things that really detract from a brand or really can kind of make it almost appear amateurish are those very things. And if you don't have them in place, you're going to look amateurish.
Okay, so that's a very, very important aspect then.
Absolutely.
How about mistakes that businesses make with their marketing efforts? So they made mistakes that they might make in their branding, mistakes that they might make in promoting their products or services to people that aren't interested in them. And have you run into companies or seen venues without any names, where maybe an example of where some business was promoting something that they spent a lot of money on that maybe was where they could have put their resources in a more easy area, something that would be better for that company.
Yeah, Tom. Absolutely. In the 20 years I've been in business, I've seen a lot of marketing mistakes. And
Okay.
again, without naming names, one
Yep.
recently was a business that was trying to appeal to more of the elderly and the children of the elderly that were trying to get these people to make legal decisions and things like this. Well, they didn't have a well-defined brand. They didn't have a website. They didn't hardly even have social media. They were a landing page within this big conglomerate website, and they were going to spend something to the tune of $30,000 on radio ads. Well, imagine if they spent that kind of money on radio ads, but they didn't have anywhere to send them. Where's the website? Where's the social media? What is this brand? Okay, but yet they expected to get all this business from these radio ads. Well, then how is that going to translate then into long-term good clients for this?
So they were looking at not having this foundation that you talked about, but it was just like, let's make that sale. Let's make that sale, and let's shoot from the hip and see what happens.
Yeah. And as an established marketing firm, we have saved businesses the pain and also the financial cost of making those mistakes years from now.
Another thing I wanted to ask is some of the aspects of marketing. You know, I can remember not that long ago that if you had a business, you had to put an ad in the yellow pages. I don't know if you remember that, but I sure do. And I don't even think there is any such thing as the yellow pages anymore. Or you had to take an ad. I don't want to say anything wrong about local newspapers, but I would imagine that they have taken a hit on ads in the printed media. So in looking at this whole aspect of marketing, is there a place for printed material if somebody is trying to, they get the foundation for their business and they're looking for ways to grow the opportunities that they may have?
Sure, absolutely. And I want to preface by saying that we work with print vendors, and print is not dead. Contrary to what some people say, well, it's all digital online, you know, it's the digital revolution, it's digital everything. But print is definitely not dead, and as a matter of fact, print actually has its place, just like digital has its place, just like billboards, advertising, radio, everything. Everything has its place, but print itself, if you think about even, you know, your simple basic business card, brochures, pamphlets, anything that can help, you know, whether it's mailings. And I would say specific to the industry, and I know that, you know, a lot of the trades and a lot of landscapers, outdoor, they use things like the Save-On coupon clippers and the things that come in the mail, and those actually turn out some pretty good results for them. Now, when it comes to, you know, yellow pages and things like that, I think it's definitely a shrinking market simply because yellow pages, you can just pull up on your phone now, scroll through whatever you want, say a Google voice command, and now you found your, you know.
Okay. The other thing is, and again, this would be part of your overall strategy that would include the basic part of developing a marketing plan on up. There are, let's say that you have a business that there are a number of others in your area. For example, a financial planner, and you have hundreds of other financial planners. What are some of the things that a person would need to do in order to make their business look different or prosper based on what their other competitors are doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one I get asked a lot because we do see a lot of the same industries, whether you're financial planners or chiropractors and things like this. And there are a lot of them, I guess, in the Twin Cities, you know, where you have a concentrated area, and it might be selling similar products. It might be certain financial products and things like that. But I ask businesses to look deep within themselves and actually ask, what is your why for being in business?
Okay, and what do you mean by that? What is your why?
Right. So there's a video I show clients every so often, and it's by Simon Sinek. It's a TED Talks, and he goes into asking, you know, what is your why? And 100% of the businesses out there know what they do. On the next tier, Some of them know how they do it.
Yeah.
But on the very inner core, a lot of businesses don't really know why they do it. And the response sometimes is, well, of course, it's to make money. It's to put bread on the table for my family. But that's not really your why. Yeah.
And why is the why so important in developing a strategic marketing plan for one of these small businesses, a small chiropractor, for example?
Sure. So when you're inundated with maybe 10 choices of chiropractors in and around maybe the White Bear area, really understanding what your why is in for business, and then going into what we call the UVP, the unique value proposition. What are you going to separate yourself for or do differently than most other chiropractors? And when I interview, these types of businesses, some chiropractors might want to specialize in just this type of treatment, and other ones might specialize in nutrition, and other ones might specialize in just car accident injury cases and things like that. So finding what your unique value proposition and why and how you differentiate yourself better or different than your competitors is really going to help in honing in on that marketing message, so we can take that message then and now start telling the rest of the world so it doesn't sound like everyone else.
Okay, so this is kind of like developing a niche.
It is.
Would you say that would be the way that you're explaining things?
Entirely it is.
Yeah. Now, is it possible for a business then to target different niches other than just one?
Yeah, and that is one thing that we encourage businesses to do, is develop, instead of, if it is just selling a product, a widget that you're really good at doing, then great. But if there are other opportunities to go into different niches, and then coming up with marketing messages around those different niches, that's really powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some other questions too that I have is going back a little bit early in our interview, we talked about the costs of marketing. You mentioned businesses that'll spend tens of thousands of dollars. I would imagine that if you hired one of these larger companies to do your marketing, you could spend maybe $100,000 a year just on your marketing efforts.
Easily.
And your clientele, would you say that a lot of your clientele are smaller and medium-sized businesses?
Yes, they are, and we've actually kind of carved that niche, if you will. We've carved that niche out because of the previous experience I've had with at the major ad agencies, and knowing that the small and medium-sized businesses, I feel, are really underserved.
Right.
Yeah.
And would you say, and so you can provide the types of services then that you're comfortable in providing the types of services for these companies that the larger firms might be able to do?
Yeah, and that is really my experience, because when I've in a former life produced ads for Best Buy, Target, Health Partners, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So you've had experience in that area.
As an executive producer, and I've taken that experience, that the best of kind of both worlds, that ad agency world, and brought it to small businesses that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford this and now are.
Could you expand briefly some of the experience that you've had in the marketing field?
Sure. So again, starting off in 1999, 20 years in business, I've had, worked with companies like Red Wing Shoe and Schwann's, I guess, is kind of some Minnesota name brands. And then, when I took some brief stints in other agency capacities as an executive producer, worked with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Vikings, Target, a lot of the Minnesota name brands I've either had some type of experience with. Culver's was another really fun. So some of the Culver's commercials you've seen in the past, I've had a hand in.
Great.
So
now, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they go about doing it?
Great. So my information is nathan@keechmedia.com. It's KEECH media.com. My phone number is 612-643-0909, or you can go visit our website and find out any of our information, including videos, websites, branding, at keechmedia.com.
And you can also, by the way, contact the Chamber of Commerce at 651-429-8593 for information about your company too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this very informative interview.
You're welcome, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now I have a quick announcement about important Chamber community happenings. Mark down Thursday, August 15th to attend a special session with the White Bear Lake Superintendent of Schools to discuss the $326 million building referendum. It will take place at Vadnais Heights Country Inn and Suites. The address is 2150 Vadnais Center Drive. The question and answer session will follow. The timeline is from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Nathan, thank you for coming to Your Business Matters.
You've been watching Your Business Matters. For more information on this program or the White Bear Area Chamber, visit whitebearchamber.com or call 651-429-8593.